Hello students, today we are going to discuss about the rectum. Rectum is a distal part of the large intestine or colon. In the Latin, the word rectum means the straight, but actually this is not a straight structure. It has curves and bands in its anterior posterior aspect or lateral aspects. But the meaning of the rectum is a straight structure or a straight thing. But actually it is not a straight type structure. It has curves. The curves are found anteriorly, posteriorly, laterally, right lateral, left lateral. So it is a structure that is not straight. In the Unani terminology, the rectum is known as amai mustaqim. Ama means colon, intestine, or mustaqim means straight. It is a straight part of the large intestine, amai mustaqim. Students, we would discuss the rectum in a such manner that would be helpful for you in the practical examination, the points that may be asked in the practical examination. So we would discuss mostly the points in the that would be asked in the practical examination. First of all, we have to just you may be asked to identify the rectum. You have to distinguish it from the other parts of the large intestine, the other parts such as the appendix vermiform, the cecum, ascending colon, transverse colon, sigmoid colon, and rectum itself. So you have to know the points that are very specific to the rectum, that is especially found in the rectum. So we should know the points that would help you in identifying this structure. In the practical part, in the spotting part, uh, the student may be asked for the just identification of the given specimen. So we have to just identify which specimen actually it is anatomically, knowing the points that is very specific to a particular given structure. And another thing that is important, we actually know the other structures that are similar to this part. So we have to just know the distinguishing features. What makes the cecum, what makes the ascending colon, what are the specific features of the transverse colon, sigmoid colon, descending colon, and the rectum. Then you would be able to identify the given specimen. Rectum, actually it is around 10 to 12 centimeter in length. It is 5 inch in length, and its lumen, its width is around 4 centimeter in its proximal part, but distally it is more wide, and it forms in the wider portion of the rectum, that is distally, and we call it the rectal ampulla. It has the very specific feature of this rectum is actually it is devoid of a very cardinal features of the large intestine or colon, that is the presence of the circulation, that is the presence of the tinea coli, and the presence of the appendices epiploicy. All these features are very specific to the large intestine, but this part of the large intestine basically it is devoid of any all three features of the large intestine. This the rectum does not have tinea coli, it does not have circulations, it does not have appendices epiploicy. These are the fat filled cushions, that peritoneal cushions that are found over the wall of the intestine. If a given specimen that is that does not have circulations, tinea coli, and appendices epiploicy, uh, so so you can just distinguish it from the other part of the large intestine, that is the cecum. But after knowing the cecum, after knowing the rectum, what are the other things? Anatomically, it has anterior posterior curves. It has two two curves, that is the sacral flexures and the perineal flexures. Sacral flexures, that is situated at the level of the sacrum. Actually, it actually conforms the conformity of the concavity of the sacrum. So there is a uh, posteriorly there is a just accommodation of a sacrum concavity over the surface of the rectum. So there is a forward concavity at the level of the sacrum. We call it the sacral concavity, and other concavity that is situated at the anterior posterior aspect, that is the perineal flexure. And this perineal flexure, it is actually the backward bending and backward um, concavity that is situated at this level, at the level of the anorectal junction. So it actually takes bends in those two places, that is at the level of the sacrum, at the level of the anorectal junction. Other bends are of lateral nature. There are uh, bends at the right side or left side. In the left lateral aspects there are two bends, and we call it the superior superior lateral band and the inferior lateral band of the left side, and the right side there is a middle lateral band. So these are the three lateral bendings or flexures that are found at the course of the rectum. Interiorly, if you see the interior of the rectum, you would find there are um, horizontal mucosal folds, longitudinal mucosal folds, but the horizontal mucosal fold are more prominent as compared to the longitudinal mucosal folds. This is the, and these are called as the plysicircularis, that are found in the other part of the large intestine and even the small intestine. And in the, if you see the lumen of the rectum, you would find there are three type of walls, and we call it the superior and the inferior rectal walls, that is situated at the left lateral aspect. And there is a middle rectal wall at the level of the right lateral aspect. So interiorly you would find there are valves. And what does actually valve help to the rectum? Rectum is a structure where the feces come to the rectum. So one feel desire to just defecate, to just get it off from the body, and the feces go off to the exterior through the opening, and we call it the anus. Rectum is very sensitive. Whenever their feces comes down from the sigmoid colon, it actually elicits the urge to defecate the feces. So mostly it is a rectum is empty. Most of the time the rectum remains empty because of its nature. It actually does not tolerate the presence of the feces, and it can just defecate out the feces. These are the points of the rectum, and this is the model that showing the gastrointestinal tract, especially this is the appendix vermiform, the cecum, ascending colon, and transverse colon, and that is the splenic flexure of the colon, and this is the descending colon, sigmoid colon, and this part is part of this colon, that is the rectum. And you can easily see there is a concavity, that is the concavity that is at the level of the sacrum, and we call it the sacral flexure. And again there is a concavity that is found at the level of the anorectal junction. We have got two flexures at the anterior posterior aspect. There are lateral bends also, flexures also. So this is the model, but it does not very specifically, illicitly, it does not show the the rectum, but you can just roughly just figure out what the rectum might appear to be. This is all about the rectum, the points that may be helpful in the practical examination. You can identify the different identify the rectum from the different part of the large intestine. If you know the points, basically it is devoid of all these cardinal features of the large intestine, that is the presence of the circulation. You would not find any circulation in the course of the rectum, and you would not find any fibrous band, that is called as the tinea coli, over the wall of the rectum, and you would not find any fat filled peritoneal folds, we call it the appendices epiploicy, over the wall of the rectum. And rectum actually that begins when the sigmoid colon ends at the level of the rectosigmoid junction, and it ends at the level of the anorectal junction. These are the points that are importance to the practical point of view, and some anatomical features I have discussed with you about the rectum. Thank you.